Hello everybody. Welcome to the information seminar of social design. I'm the program leader of the this top-up program, BA Honors in Social Design. My name is King. Today I will invite you to look into our program a little bit, and if you are applicants having an associate degrees or higher diploma in design studies and social science or technology or other disciplines, you are eligible to apply for the social design program. And I will just let everybody know that social design program is a very different program in our BA disciplines, because we invite different students from different disciplines to join the program in order to have more interactions and learn together from the different disciplines. But before I start introducing the program in details, I just want you to take a quick visual tour on how we operate. And before that, I want to explain a little bit of our study approach first. From my experience, I understand that students in their studies are very used to this, I call it screen-based studies. Screen-based studies meaning you sit in front of the computer, you do research through the web, and always look at the screen to find information. And then after you read this information from the screen, you download it, and then you study them, and then you will have to write essay and submit to the teachers. Okay, this is what I call essay-based studies. In your previous training, I think you are very familiar with essay-based assignment as well. But I would tell you that our study approach is a little bit different. We will encourage you to do a lot of field-based studies, meaning that you have to go out to the field to observe in the real context, observe in the real world, and study things from the real situations. So after you have all these studies and observations, then you will come back to the studio. In our design school, there are a lot of studio-based subjects, meaning that you really have to work out something in the studios. It's beyond the screen, okay? So I will just show you some of the pictures of what we do in classes. Okay, for example, this is a class called Researching People, Things, and Contexts. And then you could see a lot of text on a display board. And I was encouraging students to go out to the screen, like searching definition from the web, only for the first time, first day. And after that, they are not just doing the definition part or making this kind of display of definitions. They need to go out and work with people. Like in this exercise, the students work with partners called MAD, like Make a Difference Institute, and they had a walkability lab like a few months ago, and then they start to go out to the field, and you see a lot of pictures are taken, and then from some of the social contexts in Sam Shui Po. So they bring back the pictures, and they discuss with the partners and try to find out some of the insight of what they have been observing. And then they start to analyze the pictures and do all the like mapping exercise. Say for example, this one, this is another subject called Visualizing Network, Media, and Community. So we sent students out to Wan Chai and look into how people throw away their glass bottle. So they document a lot of observations, and then they define the area of studies, and then something like they take pictures, and then they also look into some of the happenings on that site. And then they make a map to visualize what they have found at the studio, like this. So you could see that in the studio, they bring back all their observations through taking pictures, writing notes, and all these different insights they have been jotting down, and then try to organize some of the interpretations of their work. So this is what I call the field-based studies, and also studio-based studies. You could see more of those exercise at the studio, and then students will be answering questions in the studio and displaying their findings through designing the display. Okay, so here is another examples of students going out to do studies. In a class called Creative Citizenship in Practice, students are asked to identify their social concern, and then they need to take a picture of that and then write up some kind of description of their concerns through this kind of means. Okay, observation is very important, as you could see in our program. And then after you observe it, you have to really look into some of the issues and concerns which will in the future lead you to some of the discussions and social design project. You could see that, for example, students bring back their concerns about the restroom situation in Hong Kong. The floor is always wet and always dirty. How do you solve this? Okay, the situation of smoking in the street, and all the cigarette butts are thrown away on the street level, and how do you come up with some kind of idea to redesign the situation so that people won't throw their cigarette butts on the street? So these are their concerns, and so they need to, after observations, they need to do this kind of analysis, and then they need to come up with some kind of social actions or solutions to resolve the issues. And that's where the creativity part of social designs come in. Okay, if you have some concern, then you need to go out and find out the issues, and then you come back with some kind of ideas to resolve the concerns. So examples for another subject called Participatory Design and Innovation in an Aging Society. So we attempt to engage young people to work with elderly people so that we could come up with some kind of ideas of how to develop some design for elderly. So this is one of the examples that students try to make some design and try to test it in the park, local park, and then talk to the elderly users and see whether or not it works. So there's a lot of experimentation and testing in our studio-based and field-based learning. Okay, it's not only about writing papers. Okay, you could see in the classroom we even invite elderly people to come out to and play mahjong with the students so that they know, they understand some of the issues of these elders, and then start developing network with them, talk to them, understand them, empathize with them. So these are our approach in the classes. And then you could see that they are really making friends in the class, and then after they make friends, they start to ask or observe the elderly of their needs, and then they do something in the next project to help to develop some kind of design for the elderly society. So, and also we will engage students in some kind of co-creations and proposal writing. So what is co-creation? Meaning that it is not only you designing things for other people, you are designing with them. So you have to really understand whom are you designing for, right? So our approach is to design some kind of engagement tools, and then use the tools, use the display, and talk to the people whom you will be designing for, so that they could provide some kind of ideas for you for future design. So if you want to have some kind of good design, the first criteria is that you need to co-create with them. Then this is our approach. So you meet people, you do field-based studies, and then you come up with some kind of understanding of the people, like this one. Student design something, and then they use their design as a kind of conversation platform to ask for others' opinions. So even the workshop has to be designed by the students so that they could engage the workshop participants to give ideas about their design. So this is something that we talk about in our classes. And then we have to define the issues, define what we have found out and what is the problem or what are the needs, etc. So you could see that, for example, this project, students are assigned to work with NGO or social enterprise called WeComs. So they have to understand how the NGO or the social enterprise operate inside a systems. So this is a map that they drawn out while they are understanding who is engaging in the system of operations. So this is one kind of understanding that we want students to do. Of course, we cannot only do our understanding of field study locally. We also have a class called Overseas Study Trip. So we encourage students to interact with international partners and students. So we brought the students to Japan and then to study the craft tradition of Japan, like paper making, and also farming, okay, growing rice. So they have an opportunity to experiment with growing or planting paddy field as well. So this is very interesting experience for the students to broaden the perspective on how to design for change in the society. So the previous pictures are our operations in the classroom, and what you do in the learning and teaching is basically, as I said, field-based and studio-based. So let's look at some more boring stuff, okay? So this is the official syllabus of our curriculum. Because this is a senior year program, we only require 60 credits for graduations, okay? So of course we have some general education, some from universities, and then we have some compulsory subjects. The compulsory subjects, for example, here, for the senior year 1, semester 1, so you see 3 different subjects. Okay, one is researching people, things, and contexts, that I already showed you some of the picture that what we did, and also visualizing network, media, and community, okay? And you also have to study like introduction to design theory and culture, and then you have some elective classes. So we think that, okay, each semester you will have to study like 15 credits, okay? And for year 1, semester 2, you also have to do some Chinese language classes, like professional communication in Chinese and design studies, and also the class Creative Citizenship in Practice, which I already shown you some of the picture, like going out to the field and look for some of your own concern, your social concern, and then document it and try to come up with some kind of solutions and actions to change the situations. So this is creative citizenship in practice. And then participatory design and innovation in an aging society that I also shown you before. It's about interacting with the elderly people, understanding their needs, and then trying to design some kind of platform to help them live better. And co-creation and project proposal writing, I show you also the picture about trying to like design workshops and design format or conversation method to engage people to co-create with you, co-design with you. you are not only hiding in your own studio, you need to go out to work with other people. So this is the first year of our program. And the second year will be like cooperative project, which you have the chance to go out to develop some partnership with companies. You work in real life with some NGOs or some company, also together with other design students. So they are not only design, they are a kind of cooperative semester that you have to also work with students from other disciplines like communication design, environmental design, or product design. So you form teams together. So teamwork is also one of the very important attributes of our program. And then you come to Capstone. Capstone actually is the final year project. You have 1 year to finish the whole Capstone project. The first part, Capstone 1, is about researching, planning, and prototyping. You use the skills you learned the past year, and then you start to conceive of your own project, okay? And then you will have to complete the Capstone 2, which is the final year project, which you will be exhibiting in the annual show. If you look at the screen, you see also the design for social and cultural business classes. This is to equip you to develop some kind of business perspective or cultural perspective in the design project. You are not only designing one object, okay? You have to think of how these objects go out to the real world, and these objects interact with the people in the real world, and how to make it economically viable or practicable. So this is very important theory and skills that you need to learn in order to really implement all these projects. Okay, so as I said, you also have a lot of elective subjects to choose from. But for our program, because you only have 60 credits to do in 2 years, we don't have many that you could choose. We have only 3 subjects requirement, 3 elective subjects requirements. So you, among all the SD subjects and also some APSS, applied social science subjects, you could choose only 3. Okay, many students choose internship, for example. Internship is an elective in our program, and then if they choose that, they will study in a company for 8 weeks during the summer, okay, and then they will get a credit, 3 credits from internship. There's also many people or students who want to choose overseas study trip. Given that they have the budget to buy the air ticket and also buy, I hope next year the pandemic situation will be better so that we could really organize the study trip again. Last year, we have not been able to do that, but early 2019 and 2018, the 2 cohorts of students went out to Japan and to Hariban for study trip. So they are very much enjoying it. So among all these 3 elective subjects that you are, it is available for you to choose. I think you have to make some plans to see whether you need to choose it. For example, for design students enrolling our program, we encourage you to take some APSS subjects like APSS 4510, Corporate Social Responsibility, or Social Capital, or subjects like Social Entrepreneurship and Enterprise. So this is very important perspective for design students. But if you come from a cultural study background or social science background, you may take more elective on design, like something like inclusive and universal design. So you could take those. And then, or maybe communication design to foster sustainable behavior. So these are some of the design subjects that I would encourage social science applicants to take for the elective to compensate some of your skills in design. Okay? So I won't go too much further except to let you know that at year 1 level, which is your first year in our senior program, learn to research and apply knowledge and skills is the fundamental premise. So you really need to learn how to do research by going out to the field and by doing analysis in your studio and whatnot. So the first year is like that. And the second year, you need to learn to be initiative. So you have some kind of ideas that you want to make it real. So you have a dream to make things real, to change some of the social situations. So this is the whole purpose for social design. So collaborate. So in order to initiate new projects, you need to collaborate with others. And then you need to be resourceful. So in your final year, you need to learn to be initiative, collaborative, and resourceful. So this is the key premise of the 2 years of senior study in social design. Okay? So I don't know whether you have this is a little bit complicated, but this is a kind of like mapping of our program. As you could see, you could have a kind of route, okay? From initially, you come to our program to understand some conceptual and hands-on skills. So you develop your competence in conceptual thinking and hands-on thinking. Hands-on thinking meaning you need to make things happen. Okay, it's not just sitting in your study room and do all the essay writing. Okay, you have to make things happen by by acquiring some kind of hands-on competences. And then you have the next stages will be social competences. So you need to learn to socialize with people. You go out to the field, you talk to the stranger, you talk to the elderly people, find out what their needs are. You go out to the field and talk to stranger and find out what happens behind their behavior. So there is a lot of social interaction that you have, you need to develop, like I call it social competence. So this is the second stage of your studies. And the third stage of your studies will become holistic and self-initiative. When you think of a problem or needs or some kind of design, you just not think of just one little objects or a posters. You think of the whole situation, the whole context of how these posters and operation or the objects operate in the social situations. This is what I meant by holistics, seeing the whole picture, okay? And be self-initiative, meaning self-initiating new projects all the time, coming up with new ideas all the time, and then make it happen. So this is the essence of social designers, okay? So when you graduate, we hope that you could at least have 3 routes of work. Okay, the first route will be you become a very skilled designer. You have, and then a designer with a perspective of understanding people and understanding social situations. Okay, the second route will be you become a project coordinator for the NGOs. You create projects, you coordinate big projects, and then or social enterprises or consultancy firms. You coordinate people and things and events so that you could make change in the society. Okay. And then we could also foresee that you could be a social worker if with a design perspective, not a traditional social worker, but with a design perspective, meaning that you could create something or create new method of doing social work, or a journalist, okay? Researching in the field or developing some kind of observations and write about it, write about the social needs to encourage other people to be aware of this kind of social issues. So ideally, we want our social design programs to be like that. Of course, you could see that at the top, you always have to collaborate with the industry, with the society, and with other community partners. So this is some of our goal. Okay? So I talk about this career prospects. You could work in social and cultural businesses, non-governmental organizations, and multidisciplinary design consultancy. So these are some of the key words of our program. Okay, change maker. If you want to be a change maker, a project designers, a community organizers, a social entrepreneur, civic participation, design for public good. If you want to understand inclusive design, user-centered design, method of co-designing, or participatory design. So these are some of the things that you might learn. You also will be more sensitive to some of the community access. You create NGO projects, you are good at system thinking, you develop or help to disseminate public information, and you know what corporate social responsibilities and sustainability means. So these are some of the keywords that our students might aspire to understand. Okay? So I think, let me see. Okay. So the final question is social designer for me or for you? Okay. So my answer will be only if you are a committed and aspiring design learner with a humanitarian mindset. So the humanitarian mindset is some of the key quality that you are aspiring. Okay. If you have this mindset, or if you come into our program and learn about this kind of mindset, you will be a different person in the future. So underneath it, there are two information that you might want to further look into. My colleagues has a YouTube seminar on designing with community. So you could Google design with community, and then you could find that. Okay. And then there's also in RTHK 午夜廣場學人串社科, I was interviewed a month ago about 如何改變社會, and in there I talked about some of the projects and the meaning of social design in that channel. So you could Google them and then take a deeper look and think about whether or not social design is for you or not. Okay? And now I see some question on the screen. So I will try to answer some of the question. 咁呢個問題就係通常蘇有讀關於 social 嘅科先收咧，就唔一定嘅即係如果淨係讀 media 比較少接觸 social design 嘅，你哋會唔會收？咁讀 media 嘅都會收嘅因為咧我哋都當大家咧其實係對呢個學科咧好新所以咧大家都係未有一啲 background 嘅，咁所以你哋嚟讀嘅時候咧，其實咧就慢慢會從你原本讀緊嗰個，譬如 media design 又好，或者讀 APSS 又好咧，都要重新去理解個 social design 係啲乜嘢科嚟嘅，所以咧我哋會盡量都會 open up 我哋嗰個收生嗰個範圍嘅。咁second choice 會唔會考慮咧？會唔會有機會 interview 咧？就係會嘅。我哋都會睇埋 second choice， 同埋咧 interview 咧就我哋會揀朋友仔嚟 interview 啦。咁但係點樣揀咧？就通常就係我哋會睇下大家做 submission 嘅時候有冇交齊晒所有嘢啦，同埋咧我哋會有一個 written test 咧係會如果要 interview 嘅時候就會叫大家喺 interview 之前會做一個 written test 嘅，但係如果我哋今年如果舉辦唔到嘅 interview 咧，可能要 online 嘅時候咧，我哋就會喺嗰個要你哋咧係 online 咁樣 submit 一啲 written test 嘅 ，OK？ 讀完 social design 可唔可以將來做城市規劃？ 一定可以嘅，咁不過咧，我諗你要去攞個牌先咯。咁但係攞牌咧就唔會同即係 social design 畢業咧，你係未有資格去攞牌嘅。OK， 咁你可能要讀個 master in city planning， 咁你可能先可以做到城市規劃師咯。係唔係交 portfolio？ 今年嘅 guideline 出咗未咁啊？我諗我哋嘅 office 已經將嗰啲資料上咗網㗎啦。咁啊，睇下我哋嘅同事阿 Cathy 有冇得補充下？
咁所有嘅 portfolio 嘅 information 咧已經擺咗喺 PolyU 嘅 admission 入邊嘅。咁如果你哋有需要咧，你可以 click 翻入去揾翻 social design， 咁個 portfolio guideline 啦、submission deadline 同埋其他相關嘅資料咧已經擺咗喺上邊㗎啦。
嗱，兩樣都得。OK， 嗱有人問咧，嗰個 portfolio about the portfolio is it we prepare it after we receive the interview invitations? Okay, you could do it both way. Okay, because during the submission of information, you need to submit a personal statement with a kind of brief portfolio, okay, in PDF. Okay, but when we invite you to do the interview, you could also bring your portfolio again, or if you do the portfolio afterward and prepare it for the interview, then you bring it with you, bring the portfolio with you during the interview as well. Okay, so we will look at two different stages of your portfolio. The first portfolio stages will be you submitted your personal statement and what you have already done before in your learning. Okay, so you could submit those. Okay, but when you are invited to the interview, you could still prepare better your portfolio and bring it with you. Okay. People ask me, do I have any advice on how to prepare the portfolio? I think this is okay, I need to explain what a portfolio means in our program. Portfolio means your learning track record of your past years. Okay, so you have to show what you managed to do in your past learning and what kind of projects that you have done. And if you are an social science students or cultural studies students, you still need to show us what were your projects. Even if you are writing essay paper, then what is the process of your writing? How do you prepare and show other what have you done at the background? Okay, so the process is a very important attribute of your portfolio. So if you are a design student, of course there are a lot of design process that you have to show in your portfolio. Not just the outcome, not just the final outcome. We require you, or I suggest you, to show all the process, the detailed process of what you have learned or managed to produce in your previous learning. So this is my advice for preparing portfolio. The key word is process. Show your processes. Okay? Any application system 揾唔到呢個 program 喎，呢個 application system。可以問一問我個同事Cathy 啊，係咪？
同學仔，我而家 share 個 screen 俾大家望一望嘅，大家可以入翻 PolyU 嗰個 website，咁就會揀翻 undergrad。嗱，咁同學仔你可以揾翻 Non-JUPAS Local Senior Year 嘅 admission 嘅。咁大家就可以喺度 type 73416 social design， 咁樣咧就可以揾得到我哋個 program 噶啦。咁入邊咧，你 click 入去嘅時候就會揾到佢哋相關嘅資料，包括嗰啲 portfolio 嘅 requirement 都會喺下邊嗰度出嚟噶啦。係啦，呢度有個 portfolio guide， 咁大家 click 入去嘅時候就會睇到。咁如果喺 admission system 有任何問題咧，咁請大家 send 翻 email 咧去 AR 嘅 website 嗰度，咁佢哋嗰度會有同事答你嘅。咁個 website 就係 ar.ug@polyu.edu.hk。
呢條問題係 Are there a lot of projects to cooperate with the NGO as good lab and math social lab? Do we have the internship opportunity to those companies? Yes. You will have more than enough opportunities to cooperate with other outside partners. Almost every subject are assigned to work with other partners in different ways. Some in full scale, some is only in small scale. So you will, if you are willing, you will be encouraged to slowly get into smaller teamwork and then bigger teamwork, like joining the math or good seed program together with other teammates, even outside our school. Okay, so this is very important for you to really engage with other people. So last question is how many people will be admitted? This year I think we will admit 33 people. 33 個. So in the past, we normally have around 250 applicants, and then we could only admit 33 from those few hundreds applicants. All right? So remember, if you are interested in knowing more about our approach and the concept of social design, please go to the YouTube that I list in the screen. All right? Okay, now I have to wrap up. Okay, thank you for joining the seminar. Bye-bye. 呢條問題係 Are there a lot of projects to cooperate with the NGO as good lab and math social lab? Do we have the internship opportunity to those companies? Yes. You will have more than enough opportunities to cooperate with other outside partners. Almost every subject are assigned to work with other partners in different ways. Some in full scale, some is only in small scale. So you will, if you are willing, you will be encouraged to slowly get into smaller teamwork and then bigger teamwork, like joining the math or good seed program together with other teammates, even outside our school. Okay, so this is very important for you to really engage with other people. So last question is how many people will be admitted? This year, I think we will admit 33 people. 33. 33個. So in the past, we normally have around 250 applicants, and then we could only admit 33 from those few hundreds applicants. All right? So remember, if you are interested in knowing more about our approach and the concept of social design, please go to the YouTube that I list in the screen. Right? All right. Okay. Now I have to wrap up. Okay. Thank you for joining the seminar. Bye-bye.